Sarah Ferguson's world is in a tailspin. Her connection to the royal family is looking more fragile than ever as she faces losing her home of 2 decades and sees her reputation publicly dismantled. She's reportedly been told to vacate her 30-room mansion, Royal Lodge, and a local council is moving to strip her of a civic honor. This isn't just a series of unfortunate events. It's the calculated and devastating fallout from her ex-husband Prince Andrew's connection to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. For Fergie, a woman whose life has been a roller coaster of royal favor and public scandal, it feels like she's losing everything. The safety net she has relied on for decades is unraveling. The titles that opened doors, the grand home that cemented her status, and the public platform she carefully rebuilt are all at risk. This is the story of how one of the royal family's most controversial figures is facing a public and personal reckoning, all because of scandals, both her own and, most devastatingly, those of the man she has stood by for 40 years. The blows have been coming one after another. First, the title. In October 2025, Prince Andrew announced he would no longer use his Duke of York title. The shockwave immediately hit Sarah. Although they divorced in 1996, she had been allowed to keep using the courtesy title Sarah, Duchess of York. It was more than just a name. It was her identity and her brand. Now, with Andrew no longer actively using his Duke title, her right to be the Duchess has effectively ended. For Fergie, this must feel like a painful repeat of 1996, when she lost her Royal Highness styling after the divorce, a moment friends said was deeply humiliating. Now, history is repeating itself, but the stakes are much higher. She's not just a scandalous ex-royal anymore. She is now forever linked to one of the darkest chapters in modern royal history. Then came the alert. In a move of symbolic public shaming, the City of York Council scheduled an extraordinary meeting for March 26, 2026. The single item on the agenda, to debate stripping Sarah of her honorary Freeman of the City status, an award she received back in 1987. The council already stripped Prince Andrew of the same honor in 2022, citing his ties to Epstein. While it's a ceremonial title she probably hasn't thought about in years, its removal is a powerful gesture. It's the city of her former title publicly washing its hands of her. And finally, the most painful loss of all, her home. Reports have circulated for months that King Charles wants Andrew out of Royal Lodge, the sprawling 30-room mansion in Windsor Great Park that has been their sanctuary. Some sources claimed a formal eviction notice was served with a deadline of January 31, 2026, forcing both of them to vacate. While Andrew was reportedly offered another property, the palace has apparently made it clear that Sarah needs to find her own accommodation. Friends have reportedly said she is on a knife edge, with the stress of losing her home and titles taking a toll on her mental health. To understand how all this happened, you have to look at the man at the center of the storm, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. For years, the monarchy tried to contain the damage from Andrew's friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. But the ongoing release of unredacted court documents related to Epstein changed everything. The files were damning, painting a disturbing picture of the relationship between the prince and the predator and making Andrew's position completely untenable. King Charles and Prince William, seen as the new guardians of the monarchy's brand, knew they had to act decisively. The institution itself was at risk. According to palace insiders, the king, with William's full support, moved to sever all of Andrew's remaining ties. The first step was pressuring Andrew to stop using his Duke of York title in October 2025. The next was the reported eviction from Royal Lodge, a very visible symbol of his former royal status. Andrew's downfall created a vortex, and Sarah Ferguson was standing right next to him. Her unwavering loyalty to her ex-husband meant that when his world imploded, hers was destined to follow. For decades, she benefited from her connection to him, enjoying the privilege and status that came with living at Royal Lodge even after their divorce. Now, she's paying the ultimate price for that same loyalty. The firm, in a ruthless bid for survival, is cleaning house, and Sarah appears to be considered collateral damage. Of course, this is just the latest, most destructive chapter in a long history of scandals that have defined Sarah Ferguson's public life. To really get why she's so vulnerable now, with so few allies left inside the royal institution, you have to look back. When she burst onto the scene in the 1980s, the fun-loving Fergie was a breath of fresh air compared to the stiff formality of the Windsors. But her down-to-earth personality soon gave way to a reputation for bad judgment. The infamous toe-sucking incident in 1992, where paparazzi photos of her with her American financial advisor were splashed across the tabloids, sealed her fate as an outcast while she was still married to the Queen's son. After her divorce in 1996, her financial troubles started. This led to a decades-long hustle to maintain a lavish lifestyle. She had some successes, like her famous endorsement deal with Weight Watchers and a career as a children's book author. But there were also disastrous business ventures. Her American media company, Hartmore, collapsed in 2009 with over $1 million in debt. By 2010, she was reportedly facing bankruptcy, an unprecedented embarrassment for the royal family. Her desperation peaked with the Cash for Access scandal in 2010, when she was secretly filmed by an undercover reporter. In the video, she promised to introduce a fake businessman to Prince Andrew in exchange for £500,000. Her lament to the reporter became a defining quote, "I have zero money." Each of these scandals eroded her credibility and any goodwill she had with senior royals. She was seen as a liability. So, when the Epstein scandal exploded, she had no political. Damaging emails have come to light, showing her continued contact with Epstein long after his 2008 conviction for soliciting a minor. In one, she reportedly called him the brother I have always wished for. Another email, which surfaced earlier, referred to him as a supreme friend. A spokesperson for Ferguson claimed one of the messages was sent under legal pressure from Epstein, but the damage was done. These revelations suggested her public apologies were, at best, complicated by a private sense of loyalty or obligation. The documents also provided more context to her financial dealings with him. She had previously admitted to accepting money from Epstein to pay off a debt, a decision she called a gigantic error of judgment. While there has never been any evidence to suggest Sarah was involved in Epstein's crimes, her willingness to maintain a friendship and financial relationship with a convicted predator has proven toxic in the court of public opinion. It gave the establishment the final justification it needed to cut her loose. Before we get into the devastating consequences of this fallout and what the future might hold for Sarah Ferguson, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. The royal landscape is changing faster than ever, and you won't want to miss our in-depth analysis of what happens next. The fallout has been swift and merciless, going far beyond losing a title and a home. Sarah Ferguson is facing the dismantling of the life and career she spent 30 years rebuilding. Her philanthropic world has crumbled. Her charity, Sarah's Trust, announced in February 2026 that it would be closing for the foreseeable future due to the new revelations. This followed reports from late 2025 that at least 7 other charities had already dropped her as a patron or ambassador because of her Epstein links. The feel-good factor once associated with the Duchess of York has completely evaporated. Her income streams are also reportedly under threat. There are rumors that publishers, who once saw her as a bankable name, have rejected proposals for a tell-all memoir. Socially, she seems to be adrift. Sources claim that many former friends now want to keep their distance. There have even been reports of her sofa surfing and staying with loyal friends like Priscilla Presley. Her daughters, Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie, are caught in an impossible position, trying to support their mother while protecting their own standing within the royal family. So what happens now? Stripped of her title, facing eviction from her home, and ostracized by the institution she was once a part of, Sarah Ferguson's future is more uncertain than ever. She has reportedly been traveling overseas to figure out her next move, which could include looking for a property near Windsor or moving abroad. Financially, she is said to be in a difficult position, with friends reporting that she is seriously worried about money. This leads to the biggest question of all. Will she write that tell-all memoir? While some publishers may be hesitant, the idea of a truly no-holds-barred book from Fergie remains a terrifying possibility for the royal family. With little left to lose, a book detailing what she knows about Andrew, her time inside the firm, and her knowledge of the Epstein connection could be a multi-million-dollar blockbuster. For a woman who once claimed to have zero money, that kind of payday might be too tempting to resist. It would be the ultimate act of defiance, a nuclear option that would burn her last bridges with the royals. But it may also be her only way forward. Sarah Ferguson's story has always been about survival. From royal bride to royal outcast, from bankrupt divorcee to successful author, she has reinvented herself time and again. But the scandal surrounding Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein is a crisis on a whole different level. This isn't just another public gaffe or a temporary money problem. This is a final reckoning with decades of poor judgment, both hers and her ex-husband's. She's on a knife's edge, caught between her fierce loyalty to a disgraced man and the monarchy's cold-blooded instinct for self-preservation. The year 2026 is looking a lot like 1996, the year of her first big fall from grace. 30 years ago, she lost her HRH title and had to rebuild from the ashes. Today, she's lost her home, her Duchess title, her charities, and her reputation all at once. She's a pariah again, but this time, the climb back looks nearly impossible. Do you think the treatment of Sarah Ferguson is fair, or is she paying too high a price for her ex-husband's sins? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to stay on top of this and other Major Royal stories, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.